Hey there, this is the lightning talk about a weird journey into CPython. I'm Dan Lindeman, and I'm going to show you the craziest function I've ever seen. So the way that I discovered this function was by looking at a feature from Kotlin inside of the context of Python data classes. In case you aren't familiar, here's a real quick breakdown of Python data classes. They're a decorator that you import and annotate a class with. When you do that, here we can see a person class. Normal stuff, we set our class attributes and give some type hints to it. But what you get when you declare something as a data class are some freebies. So you get a repr, you get an eq, you get an init, and you get an order, right? So these are some nice freebies that come in the box when you declare something as a data class. So there's also another feature which is called frozen. This is something I didn't understand at first, but it's useful if you want to use a data class, for example, inside of a key for a dictionary. So here's the equivalent in Kotlin. And it's kind of how we got down this journey. So in Kotlin, you have the idea of val and var. So values are immutable, can't be changed. Variables can be changed, they're mutable. So here we have a user with a name that can't be changed and an age that can. So we can use this and we can age me, from example, from 32 to 33. So clever Pythonistas might be thinking right now, there's no concept of immutability in Python. You can't do that. And I agree, you can't. Except you kind of can. So the code on the left is a regular data class, not frozen, for a user. And here we have me at age 35, and we're going to age me by 1 year, and it's happy, and it works, right? On the left, we're going to make a frozen user. And so we're going to make Guido, and we're going to try and age Guido by 1 year from 29 to 30. We see this is going to raise a frozen instance error. It will not allow us to do that. But what sorcery is this? We don't have immutability. Like, how is this going on? How is this happening? So here is the first set of breadcrumbs to the culprit. We have this frozen getDelAdders function. And so this is inside of the data classes implementation in CPython. And so we can see kind of what looks like we're making a setAddr, like the dunder, the magic setAddr and delAddr methods, and they're supposed to be raising an error. But this is text, this isn't a function, right? This is really kind of weird. And so when we try and age our frozen users, we're getting these errors instead. But what is createFn doing? Is this decorator, is the data class's decorator actually building executable functions for us? Well, it turns out, yeah, it is. And it's used everywhere in the data class implementation. When you want an init function, createFn init. When you want a repr function, create repr, right? This is the guts behind most of the freebies in data classes and how it's implemented. We grab some values and we build some functions. I feel like I'm really burying the lead in a lightning talk, so on with it already. This is the craziest function I've ever seen, createFn. So let's look at the function head first. We have name, args, and body. Those are the main things we're going to focus on. So name is a string, args is a list of arguments, and body is a list of statements. So we'll ignore a little bit up here up top, and we'll move down to line 18. We can see that it looks like we're kind of building like a string representation of a function. And in fact, that is what we're doing. On line 23, you can see that we're going to exec that text, which will have the effect of putting it into locals. So we've got this like actual created function that has been built and created and put into locals inside of createFn. So I can't look at a function like that and not want to like try it out myself. So let's createFn add two numbers. We'll take two arguments, first number, second number, and then we'll pass in some statements as they would appear kind of line by line in your editor. We can assign that to a reference, add two numbers. We can call that function because it is just a function. And then, this is kind of, if it's a little hard to follow, this is us doing it by hand on the bottom. So add two numbers, kind of the old-fashioned way. Fun note is that after we call this, after we call createFn, we'll see a reference to add two numbers inside of locals. So that's sweet. So here's a little extra fun that we could have. I don't think CPython should be the only one having fun making dunder methods. So here I'm going to make my own repr function, and I'm going to use it in a crazy new class. And this will work. If you want to do some new interesting sort of decorators for classes, this might be something that you could try. So what did we learn? We learned a little bit about metaprogramming in Python. We learned Eric P. Smith and company who are working on data classes are very smart. And we also learned that digging into CPython, it's actually not all that scary. Thank you so much.